that, how he fishes shallow water, how he finds these out of the way. I think weren't you guys out fishing today?
Kind of.
More like trying to film something. Hey everybody, welcome to Bass University Live. We're very live because I just took a bite of my protein bar before I came on. So I'm working my way through that. But it's good to be back. It's good to be back on bassu.tv. We are bringing it to you live. We're going to be bringing it to you live consistently over the next few weeks and months, and we're glad to do that. And we're happy to be out talking to you guys all the time. And we've got a lot going on. We have a very exciting show tonight. Some of you guys, obviously, you're tuning in. You saw we got the great John Cox, the shallow water guru, a man that can catch them in the shallows when other guys can't. He's excellent at sight fishing. He's excellent at fishing fish on the beds, and that time is coming to a lot of places around the country, and at the tail end of it in a lot of places of the country too. So it's still going on right now. So if you're like me, if you struggle in that arena, if you want to get some answers, man, this is the time. We got the man on that can help all of us, and we're looking forward to talking with him tonight. So that's going to be our show. We got the typical classic cast of characters tonight. Brian, is everybody on yet?
We are here, Pete.
Okay, everybody's there. I didn't know if you were having me on full screen or we're working this. We're getting used to the Zoom scenario now.
How's that protein bar?
You can see everybody.
How's that protein bar, Pete?
I could have saved me. You could have started talking for a few minutes. Let me get it under control, man.
Yeah. Well, hey.
I thought I had 5 minutes, but of course we got BTC in the house. He's in studio all by himself. Are you lonely out there?
I am, dude. It's very sad and lonely.
Well, you did a hell of a job. You got us on the air on time, all by yourself. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, well, almost. Andy, the Ginger Ninja was in the background helping me out tonight. So,
yep. Shout out to Straycast.
Yep.
Shout out to Andy. Thank you, buddy. Always appreciate you helping out with us. And of course, we got BTC's right hand man, Rich Leadbeater, with us, aka Riz. Good to have you, buddy.
What's going on? Happy to be here. Excited to get Bashu Live back on the map. Ready to bring the top-notch info to our Bashu family live.
Sure. We're diving in deep. I'm happy just to have you out of the boat and on the air.
Oh my God. Can't get away from it. Both shows.
Man, well, this is your time. Usually you get done work, man. You hit the water this time of night.
Well, so yeah, I mean, yeah. Afternoon tours are pretty regular. But right now, I'm kind of on the shelf a little bit with the bum lower unit. So I'm still able to hit some electric only places, which are actually getting pretty fun this time of year. The fish are moving up. They're getting pretty predictable, fun to catch. So we're getting out here and there.
Good for you. Good for you.
Ready to get this lower unit fixed and get things rolling and in gear for the Ike Foundation tournament on June 20th, Pete, down on the Chesapeake Bay.
Yes.
That is going to be the first one on the calendar that it looks like we're all going to be able to fish. Mm-hmm. So to say I'm pumped up about that is an understatement.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to that too. I'm looking forward to getting myself on the water, to be honest, because I have fished less this year than any other year that I've been alive. But you talk about fishing locally, you talk about what's going on. We have another local guy who's also, obviously you guys know him, GDP, is with us. He's Elite Series Pro, and you've been fishing a lot. You were fishing today.
Yeah, man. This time of year when I'm home, I am on the water as much as I possibly can. It's just like Rich said, it's so much fun this time of year, especially locally.
And what's going on? We're talking about the spawn, and you started seeing that today.
Yeah, I think, we already here in South Jersey, we kind of had one small little tiny stage that already happened, but the mega stage is coming now. There's a lot of fish today. I was on a lake here in South Jersey called Union Lake, and there's a lot of fish from the morning on. They were pulling up. I mean, you can see them swimming around the shallows, staging, doing all that good stuff. And towards the end of the day, I started to get really good, and I started really poking them off.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. Did they get big ones in that lake?
Yeah. I mean, I've caught some 5 and 6s off beds in Union. I don't know what the biggest fish ever caught out of there was, but I know there's been some really big fish shocked out of there.
Oh, I know what the biggest one caught there was.
What was that?
Dave Haas's striper this spring or winter.
Wow. Yeah, that's a bass.
It was what was it, 27 pounds?
It was big.
Yeah, on 6-pound test. Drop shotting. Shout out to Haas.
That was all. Well, he was with Mike when he caught that.
He was fishing with Mike. Yeah, they chased him down in his boat. So,
I bet.
Damn right they did.
Yeah, that place is amazing. We get an amazing striper run in our part of the country, and those stripers have made their way up into Union Lake. A lot of them get stuck down there, and the Maurice River gets loaded with striper fishermen. I know you fish there a lot, Craig.
Yeah. September by the dam is phenomenal for them schoolies around the 18-20 inch mark. Right. You can just crush one after another. Yep.
Nice. Well, we're going to be talking about what you experienced today. We're going to be talking about sight fishing with John Cox. I am super excited about it because, I avoid it at all costs in tournaments. I know there's some guys like me out there. So I love learning more about it. I love fishing with guys that are really good at it. And you're really good at it, Greg. I know that's one of your strengths in fishing. So I'm psyched to have you with us tonight so that you guys can dive in and talk at a high level about sight fishing.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys really stray away from sight fishing because, I think it's just they just don't have the confidence to stay on it and keep doing it. I actually ran into a guy today. He goes, "You catching them?" I said, "Yeah, I'm catching them pretty good." I said, "What about you?" He goes, "Nah, I've been offshore all day." I said, "Run the bed's pretty good." He goes, "Oh, I don't do that," and he kind of just turned away.
Yeah.
So,
Why not do that?
I don't know. People just don't like to do it.
I can tell you this. In my fishing over the years, the thing I've discovered about fishing that way is that I love to do it, except when I'm in a tournament. Like
I love to do it.
I know. I'm like opposite. Like I really enjoy watching them. I enjoy watching their behaviors, and staying with it, watching them, making them bite. But then you add the pressures of the tournament and the other guys that are always seem to get to the big fish that you found before you get there. And there's so many variables and factors that are tricky. And then you get that one that you can't make bite and you're afraid to leave them because you don't, if you go somewhere else, you're worried somebody else is on that fish. There's just so many variables that I have wrestled with over the years. And, so I that's my scenario with it, but I love to do it. Absolutely love to do it. And I want to mention you guys are watching us, like and share us. Click on those buttons below and like and share. And we're going to give you a great Bass University swag bag full of merch.
That's right. That's right. No. It's going to be a Storm Arashi glide bait.
All right.
That'll catch them.
That's a good one.
A Bass U official ball cap. So that's going to keep the sun out of your eyes while you're out there bed fishing. Like Seth Fighter says, hat down, hood up, looking for on the beds. So, Facebook, like, and share. You're going to get hooked up with that prize pack. Take it away, Brian or Pete.
Well, what instant message? Yes, we guys were, and as I'm looking at the new Bass University app, by the way, right now. So you might see me look away from time to time because we've got our app that we're in testing phase right now. It's going to be available to all you guys real soon. So look for that coming. And I'm checking it out on checking the live show out on the app. But we have instant message. IM us guys with your questions for John, for me, for the rest of the crew. We're going to give great prizes away for if we use your show on the air. We're going to hook you up with some cool Bash University stuff. So get on the IM board and check us out. Let us know what you want to talk about, what you're thinking about. And
we also got a grand prize tonight that we're giving away as well, and that's going to be a Ken Duke trivia question. Does anybody on the panel think that you haven't seen the question yet? Do you think you'll be able to answer Ken's question on the spot?
In a word, no. I never get them. He's tough. I mean, it depends on how easy he takes it on us. Is he going to give a beginner, intermediate, or advanced question? Because, he knows all. And I think it'll be a challenging, but it'll be fun. What is the grand prize?
The grand prize is going to be a G-Force handle from TH Marine, a G-Force cull system, and a TH Marine rod sleeve. It's going to be a TH Marine grand prize pack.
Trifecta.
Yep.
I love it, man. That's a big prize pack.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have to get that question right.
Yeah.
Now, guys, hey, it's important for me to mention this to you. You can only win that Superdome prize pack if you're a Bash U TV subscriber, because that question, we're gonna take answers on the IM board to get the answer for that question. But here's some good news. If you're not a Bash U TV subscriber yet, you can head over there and get signed up for free to try out the product, be a part of tonight's show, and utilize the whole website for the whole length of the trial. So take advantage of that. Go jump on bashu.tv/live, join up, and get a chance to win that awesome prize.
Awesome. We've got a COVID-19 special running 50 days free, and that's going on. And if you guys want to sign up for an annual subscription, it's a super deal. It's $50 off, and we're hooking you up with a couple Rapalas. It's a Seeing Red promotion going on right now. So if you're watching on Facebook, come on, stop what you're doing, get over there, go to Bash U TV, get signed up, come hang out with us on an IM board. Let's hear your questions. If you're on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, wherever you may be watching us right now, but hang out either way. We're going to be monitoring all that stuff. You want to win the prizes? Come on over and check it out. Is that an IM, instant messaging? What does that mean, BTC?
Well, Peter, now that you've pulled back the Oz curtain, that means ask Rich for an instant message question off the instant message board as per our tournament pre-show meeting.
So, guys, let's hear it on the board. Let's get the questions lined up here. We're going to be bringing our guest on momentarily, right? We're going to take a quick break and then bring John on.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep. Well, when you said IM, I'm like, well, man, I already covered about putting in your IM questions, BTC. This
is what happens when we're on time. We are ahead of the IM board.
Yeah,
the IM board's not even ready for us yet. They're still saying hi. We're ready to go rocking and rolling. We threw them off.
Right on. All right, man. Let's take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to come back, take a couple couple more of those awesome, amazing IM questions, and then bring in John Cox. Wait for John to actually get home. He was down on Lake Ida today and doing some.
I got a question. If you want to hit one now, I got a question we can throw in there while we're waiting for John.
Yeah, do that and then get a question in. We're going to take a commercial break. Then we're going to hope John Cox made it home.
Okay. All right. Let's get this first one in. This first question on the IM board is from Tim. And congratulations, Tim, for this question. You won yourself a bag of soft plastics and a Rapala jerkbait. Tim is buying a new bass boat. It's his first one. Do you have any advice on what accessories you would recommend first?
Greg, you want to go? You want to go first? What do you recommend, Greg?
Well, one thing that is a common thing that boat companies seem to do is, number one, they underpower the trolling motors on the boats when you get them from the factory. So make sure you definitely buy a substantial amount of pound thrust for your boat. I always say the bigger, the better. Besides that, as far as the units go, I'm a Humminbird guy, but you don't have to go crazy. You don't have to buy these big streams. The smaller ones do the same things, so just get something you can visually see at the console when you're running in rougher water, and it'll help you out in the long run for sure.
That's good. I love that what you said about the trolling motor, and I couldn't agree more. I've seen guys, go with 24-volt systems on a big boat, and halfway through the day, the wind has burned their batteries up.
Yep.
And you got to be able to fish. So you're right. Don't underpower on your trolling motor and go big there. I completely agree with it. The accessories, I'm with you. You want the trolling motor. I mean, to get to the trolling motor, boy, there's so many new features. One of the things that I spent some money on an upgrade, because I had a boat that had a few years on it, and I upgraded the trolling motor to the Ultrex, and I have found that to be a monumental, blow your hair back kind of upgrade. Whereas I got to have it, right? I got to have it moving forward on my boats with the spot lock and just all the components that I like to use in that, and new stuff that's available to it where you can troll the points and follow contour. There's so much available on it that that's a motor that I got to have the Ultrex. The Talons are key. The Ultrex is, if you had to pick between the Talons and the Ultrex, then I might get one Talon, but I definitely get that Ultrex. I love the Talons. I love the the anchor systems are so important because they keep your boat safe, especially a new boat. And when you're getting into trouble, when your wind's blowing the rear of the boat on the rocks, you can use them to keep your boat safe and out of harm's way. But that being said, I also, when you buy your boat, go and take your keys and go put a scratch on it immediately.
True. That's a good one.
There you go. It's a great piece of advice right there. Mike
just get it over with.
Mike put that in his book, man. As soon as you get a new boat, run her up on a sandbar. Get it over
with.
Get it over with, man. Get that scratch on there, because otherwise you'll be walking around on eggshells with that new thing.
Right.
Get it out of the way. But it's an exciting time. The odd thing about what's going on in our sport and everything that's happening, boat sales are really doing well by a lot of accounts. Guys, one of the dealerships that we're connected to up in Connecticut is commented they're selling a lot of boats in that $30,000 range and under to people that have never bought a boat before, right? So like people are coming out of the woodwork and wanting to do this sport. Of course, it's one of the few things that we can do safely, going on out there right now. So, the boat biz is rocking in some capacity right now. And I know we're dealing with Crestliner tonight. John Cox, big aluminum boat guy, wondering how he's going, how Crestliner, how that aluminum deal is working out, and in this economy, I got to expect they're selling them flying off the shelves too. Well, you got another IM, Rich?
Yeah, I got one more for you, and I found this one to be pretty interesting. It's from Dave Hall. Congratulations, Dave Hall. You won yourself a Bash UTV shirt. And his question is, what top waters would be most effective around the spawn?
I tell you, I'll take this one out of the gate and I'll throw it to you. And top waters are an interesting tool, and a lot of people don't think about top waters during the spawn. But Rapala has an amazing top water, and it's a chugging style bait. Help me out! All of a sudden, the name escapes me. It's one that Ott Defoe put together, and it's designed. It sits rear down. I might even have one sitting around here. I just had one not too long ago, and it's a terrific tool because it's designed to stay in one place for a long period of time, and you can walk the dog and really aggravate those fish into biting. And that's one of the main reasons what it was designed for. And I'll pull that name up for you. But it's basically a chugger style bait, like a big popar, like an original popar, but it's a Rapala bait. It's pop something. I'll get the name for you in a second. But that's a top one for me. What do you got, Greg?
I am going to go with a buzzbait. The reason I'm going to go with a buzzbait is because it seems like when the fish are pre-spawn to getting into spawn mode, covering water seems to be a really big deal. And a buzzbait for me is definitely the deal. And I'm just going to throw this out there. So Blackwater Sports Center used to make this buzz bait. It was a custom one. I used it for years. The guy that was actually making them for him died. So some of you guys are familiar with Stephen Hanna. He actually started making the exact same buzz bait for me. So he matched it to the T. So if you guys want to check out the buzz bait I throw, just check out Stephen Hanna 99. I think it is on Instagram. Check out all his stuff. And that's the buzz bait that I throw. It's black with a silver blade every single time. And it works great for pre-spawn spawn fish.
Well, I could tell you why I couldn't come up with the name of the bait, because it's not a Rapala, it's a Storm. And it's a Storm cover pop.
Cover pop. That's
Cover
it.
pop.
Yep. And that bait is a killer. And I remember I finished well in a tournament. I was fishing the herring spawn down at Kerr Reservoir, and I got beat by a guy that who was throwing topwater for spawning fish that were guarding fry and continuing to spawn while I was out on the post spawn fish. And he'd throw that style of bait right up into the buck brush, like, and make these amazing casts and trigger those spawn and post spawn fish on that style of bait. He wound up winning the tournament. Wow. But yeah, it gets the big ones, fry guarders, spawners. It's a killer little tool. His name was Craig Powers. I'm sure a lot of you guys might remember him from FLW fame, and he's an amazing lure designer in his own right. But I'm still mad at him for winning that tournament, though. Yeah. I never forget. I broke off a few on some shell beds out there that I wish I could have had back. But I love that place, and the herring spawn's coming down there. Spawn's coming. I think we're going to take a quick commercial break, guys. Stay with us. We got we got JC, John Cox coming. We're going to be talking about shallow water fishing, spawn fishing. Stay with us. We'll be right back with more Bass University Live.
But there's only one box, one anti-corrosion technology, one family-owned, American-made brand, Flambeau Z-Rust Tackle Solutions. Preserve, perform, repeat.
The micro jig rod from Cashin is not only a micro jig rod, it also works great for shaky heads, also works great for wacky worms, also works great for smaller finesse style swim baits. So 7 foot 1 inch, medium action, fast taper. You want a workhorse spinning rod, you might want to look at the micro jig rod. I got one, and then I had to end up getting 3 or 4. So the micro jig rod by Cashin, your next workhorse in your spinning rods.
Every moment on the water not spent fishing is a moment wasted. That's why Minn Kota and Humminbird have joined forces to bring you the One Boat Network. Products that communicate and integrate to help you take full command of your boat. Born from our commitment to making the most advanced fishing gear even better by making it work together, the One Boat Network will help you find, get to, stay on, and catch more fish. When One Boat Network products talk to each other, they can navigate your boat automatically. They can give you a crystal clear view of what's below with no messy wires. And they can let you lower, raise, and change shallow water anchor modes from anywhere on the boat. But that's just the beginning. We're never done innovating, integrating, and making your boat simpler and easier to control. All so you can make every second on the water count.
Tackle Warehouse is proud to sponsor the FLW Pro Circuit and is the official tackle retailer of FLW, providing proven bass fishing gear as well as the newest and hottest tackle. Our friendly and knowledgeable customer service staff can help you every step of the way. And we offer free ground shipping on orders over $50. Tackle Warehouse, everything for the bass angler at the lowest prices. Guaranteed.
I have to be constantly on the lookout for new techniques to stay on the top of my game.
Giant.
Some have been more successful than others.
Giant.
The finesse fingernail.
Happens every time.
The chain gang.
Broke it off.
The crow's nest.
Never let go.
And don't even get me started on tackle management, especially trying to stop rust and corrosion. Peanut butter.
Not good.
motor oil.
Gotta keep the rust off all these baits.
WD-40.
Keep the rust off.
Silica, toothpicks, Q-tips, the list goes on and on. I'm hard on tackle, I fish fast, I need my tackle organized and protected. I can't be worrying about losing baits to rust. And when it comes to tackle management, there's only one solution. Flambeau Tackle Storage Systems with Z-Rust technology. The original anti-rust tackle box. Uncompromised clarity. Renowned durability. The infused anti-rust option that is FDA safe and free of harmful chemicals. The organization options are endless, but there's only one. One box, one anti-corrosion technology, one family-owned, American-made brand, Flambeau Z-Rust Tackle Solutions. Preserve, perform, repeat.
Welcome back, everybody. We're just coming out of commercial break, and we're glad to have you guys with us tonight. Bass University Live. We're talking sight fishing. We're talking shallow water fishing. We're talking about how Riz bent his prop shaft. We want. I wonder when we get John on, how many prop shafts he goes through in any given season.
That'd be a good guess, guys.
That's a trivia question right there.
Yeah. He probably don't even know.
I know. I don't know if he's willing to admit it. I don't know. But I tell you, one of the cool things that he did, we were out filming with John, and you guys can go back and see John's stuff because he did some amazing training, on water training about stick baits and about swimming a jig. But one of the best things that he did for us, as I see him working his way into the broadcast there, getting squared up. But
can you guys hear me?
Man, we got you loud and clear, buddy. How are you?
Good. I just got home. I made a last minute trip and went and caught some peacock this morning.
Ooh,
no kidding. Are the top water? Are they spawning? What are the
no? They're getting ready to spawn. I took a bunch of shiners down there. I was gonna make sure I caught them, so we went down there with shiners, and yeah, it was incredible. The first bite I had was the biggest knife fish I've ever seen, and I mean, we were looking it up. I think the record's like 15 pounds, and this one wouldn't even fit my live well. So who knows how big? I mean, it was a giant one. Wow. I didn't know what to do with it, so I just chunked them over.
Man, I tell you, of all the people, well, a lot of people I know love to fish. I love to fish. I don't know that I've met anybody that loves to fish like you love to fish. How many days a year do you fish every single day?
I mean, maybe make a few casts at least. You know, I got the pond in my backyard, and I'm always like trying out stuff if I'm not actually fishing that day. But you know, it's between like softball games with the girls and you know, stuff, whatever, you know, projects around the house. Those are about the only days I don't go fishing.
That's I've seen it. Like when we were up at New York together, and we just got done beating our brains in with giant waves the previous day, and I'm like, I'm smoked. I'm like, the lake kicked our butts.
Right.
And what are you doing? Planning a fishing trip for the next day.
yeah. We went over to what was that other lake over there?
Didn't you go over to Ontario? Did you?
Yeah, that's where we went. Yep. Yeah. So we headed over there. It was pretty neat. But yeah, it was that was a rough tournament, that one we fished there. That last one at Oneida, man, jeez.
That was tough. I mean, the wind blew so hard on the last day, and but you still did. You used, even up there, like you used your techniques where you try to get way back in creeks and way out of the way places to catch your fish.
Yeah.
You use that everywhere you go, don't you?
Yeah, I usually try for like at least a backup, but that was my worst tournament all year. But yeah, it just didn't work out.
I hope I didn't put the whammy on you.
No, yeah, I know. I didn't think of that. Bad luck, Pete.
No, don't say that, man. I got to be good luck. We want to be
right
all the time.
Right.
But no, that was great. It was great hanging out with you and fishing. And, you know, I appreciate you taking the time to come and hang out with us tonight, cutting your fishing trip short a little bit.
Oh yeah, no, we were done. We were burned out. We caught a ton of them, and you know, I just appreciate having me on and stuff. And yeah, excited.
Are everybody doing good? You guys surviving all this nonsense we're dealing with? Everybody healthy and good?
Oh yeah, we're all doing good. The girls are doing good. Everybody's, you know, we've been so busy. You know, just like we did like a remodel in the garage and just working on a ton of stuff. You know, so it's just we've been staying really busy.
Oh man, I want to see pictures of the remodel. Did you put that?
I could take you there right now if you want. I can take. I'm honestly really impressed with it. Like I didn't think when we stood in the garage, I was like, there is no way we're gonna build a wall and make a room in here. And man, it looks it's pretty solid.
Dude, I got to see that.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll take us there before you go.
We can go where the only thing is, how do I get my background? I'm on the lake right now. But I
stay on the lake, John.
Stay on the lake. Okay.
Stay on the
looks good.
When you putting the tub in?
Do what?
When you putting the shower in?
As soon as I get the base. That's what right now. I got the shower stall in, and I got a chair sitting in the middle of it, and then I got the sink next to it. But there's going to be no walls, so that I didn't think it through fully. So like when you walk into the garage to come into the house, it's like bam, you're right there in the shower. You know, so I don't know. I'm not sure how that's going to work out. You know, we might have to make another wall there or something.
Maybe. Who knows? We'll see.
You're probably dirty when you walk in anyway. So
yeah, so you just walk right in and yeah.
Take care.
So we'll see. I got this like super high powered. It looks like a giant bilge pump. And what I'm hoping I'm able to do is tie in the shower in the sink to that pump, and then shoot it through the old sink's drain, and hopefully I don't know. Hopefully I'm not sure how all that plumbing stuff works, but hopefully it'll work.
We'll go find out.
Yeah, we'll find out for sure.
But you got just so you know, you got to listen a little extra hard. We have audio. Brian's audio is about half of what ours is. So.
Oh, okay.
That's why he seems like he's talking quiet, but
right.
But no, we definitely want to see that. I mean, I'm totally in. I'm looking at my garage right now and working on it. And I'm trying to get some ideas on what I'm going to do with my pile of junk. I have lures from 50 years, you know, and I have so much I'm like, man, I got to update. I got to get down to business.
Right. That's what we took everything out and shoved it in a pod just to get started.
Yeah.
And then we only did half the garage. So we left half of the garage to put bikes and stuff, you know, with the garage door still, and then just closed in the one part. And, man, I'm telling you now, we don't know what to do with all the stuff in the pod though. So I don't know what we're going to do. I'm probably going to call the guy and just hope he hauls the whole thing off and
man,
just forget about it.
That's funny. I feel like I'd be the same way. And my wife's lobbying for garage space, and I've got her, you know, negotiated down to 20% of the garage space right now. But
right.
I have a feeling she's going to be cutting into that.
Right.
Well, well, you've been you're fishing all the time, and your tournaments are kind of on pause right now. But you're going to get started up here real soon, right?
Yeah, you know, it's been a kind of nice break. I mean, I you know, but I mean, I'm like so ready. I mean, we're gonna start up at Eufaula, I think in like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So I'm looking forward to that, and then I think Chick a week later or so. So yeah, and then I think there's gonna be some conflict between some of them, and I really don't know what I'm gonna do. I really gotta you know, call everybody and try to figure out, because some of the tournaments I would have to fish one, and I'd be fishing in the off limits of the one a couple weeks later, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how we're gonna work that one out. So I mean, I'm hoping. Yeah, I know. I'm hoping. You know, I don't have to completely miss one, but I mean, what I was thinking, like the one is in Trenton, you know. So I was thinking I could go to Erie for that tournament, and then when we go to St. Clair for Bassmasters, just not go past Trenton where I fished in the other tournament, stay up in St. Clair.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Hopefully they won't shut it down, but they probably will. They'll be like, no, but we'll see.
Well, we'll broadcast these negotiations live for us.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I will.
We put them on the spot. We'd like
right. Yeah. That might be the only way we might be able to make it happen.
But they gotta have a vested interest. Everybody needs you in their tournament. So I hope they throw things your way. I'm sure they will.
Gosh, I hope so. It's just, it costs so much money to miss one, and it's just, and I just, man, I don't know. I feel sick being at one and knowing I'm missing another one and, losing points and everything, I haven't missed a tournament since, I don't know, like 2012, maybe. I think I missed one or two of them. So I was like, I've been going, I haven't missed one since then. I don't want to, I want to keep it going. So.
Well, you got some coming up. You got the chick coming up, which I know that, you've had a little bit of success there.
Yeah, we're going there a little bit later, but that place is a pretty cool place. It's got a lot of big ones in it.
Man, and you have a knack for finding them, and you find them, and this is why this is what we want to talk about with you, and we want to open up our questions for our guys at Bass University. So fire them away. We're going to dive in. We're going to talk about shallow fish and talk about the spawn. Talk about how John can catch them in coves that other people just fished and didn't catch anything, and some of those tactics. But that was really cool because I fished the last tournament on the chick, and you were you caught fish spawning when everybody said they were out all fishing ledges and shad spawn stuff, and you just stayed up on the bank and continued to dominate.
Right. Yeah. That tournament, there wasn't a lot up there. But the few that I would find, they were great big ones. And some of them weren't necessarily spawning, but they were up there around them bluegill beds. And I think 3 of the fish I weighed in were great big ones. They were over 7 pounds. They were at the end of their life, they were blind in one eye, it was, it really worked out somehow for that tournament. But, they win that bluegill thing right after them fish came off the beds, they were trying to feed up on bluegill. And I really, truly believe those big ones weren't going to make the swim back out to the ledges. I think that was their, that was their last, they were going to eat. And then when that water got too warm, they were just going to sink to the bottom and die. And, when I caught those fish, as soon as I grabbed them and put them in the live well, they were dead within, 10, 15 minutes,
Wow.
It was just, they weren't, it's crazy. They're up there and they acted so weird that tournament that it was almost like the hot water was messing with them, they weren't, I'd troll right by them and they were just kind of not even paying attention to me or anything. And, I'd flick my general out there to them. And, if I got it on their good side or right in front of them, they would take it.
Wow.
Do you think it was fair to the rest of us that you picked on those handicap fish?
Well, that wasn't the game plan. The first spot I started on was a shell bar, and it was out. It was for me. It was deep. It was 6 and 7 feet of water. Had some bluegill beds that I found on my side scan actually, and it was just one little patch, and I hammered them there the first day. And then when I got there the second day, there was, 20 boats sitting on it. So and then I just went to the bank and started picking off the handicap fish.
John, you were doing us a favor, man.
Right. That was
accelerate the process.
Yeah,
You're here, come in this nice, cool live well with some sweet juice, bubbles.
Right. Yeah, they got to go across the big stage one last time, even though they were stiff as can be, but at least they got to make that cross one more time.
you helped them out, it's like an old salmon going up stream for the last time.
Right. Yeah, took them back up that river one last
time. That's phenomenal. We the message board is lighting up right now with questions related to bed fishing, questions for John. So with no further ado, if everybody's cool with it, I'm going to jump in and get to some of these questions. Chet on the message board wants to know, John, Greg, Pete, if you're fishing a tournament, how long will you spend on a fish on a bed to get that fish to bite?
John, you're the guest star here, buddy.
All right, you want me to start with that one? So, what has done me in a lot in tournaments, which has completely ruined my tournament, is getting stuck on a fish. And for me, especially if it's a big fish, like if I get on it and I think I can catch it, a big fish goes such a long way, in a tournament. And I mean, I've spent 6 hours before on certain fish. Yeah. That I mean, but I'm talking like they were game changers. They were, over 10 pounds. Even the chick tournament, the FLW one, before the bass one, I worked on it looked like a 10 and like a 12, almost the entire first and second day, and never caught them, and then like in the last couple hours I'd bail. And, the first day I got super lucky and caught 25 pounds when I left those fish. But they can suck you in, and it's really hard to make that call to leave them. But what I've noticed, where I've done better is if I can't get that fish to even go down and pick it up within, 15, 30 minutes, and I'm not even getting like a nibble or he's not going down there and really paying attention, I usually just bail and I move on. And also depending on what time of year, I mean, if we're in the heart of the spawn and them fish are coming and they're everywhere, if that fish doesn't bite, within the first 5 to 10 minutes, I'm moving on, but just in that later year, like we were saying, like when we were there, whenever we were there for the bass one, it was pretty late May or whatever. I don't know, the water temp was like in the 80s. The few I did see up, I really worked those for a really long time because I knew I wasn't going to run into any other ones,
Right. 6 hours. That's amazing. Greg, have you ever spent 6 hours in a tournament on a bass?
Not 6, probably 3 on the St. John's last year. That was the longest. But like John said, they're the game-changing fish that you kind of got to give a little more to. It's kind of the same answer for me. Once you do this long enough, you pretty much can, flip or pitch to a fish that you see, and by the reaction, you can tell 9 times out of 10, I feel like if they're going to eat or not. So like John said, he'll work a fish for a little bit of time. He can tell by looking at these fish generally if they're going to eat most of the time. And that's kind of what I go off to. Otherwise I just keep on moving. And if that big wave of fish are coming in, same deal. Just keep on keeping on because there's a lot of other fish out there.
That's awesome. Well, I can tell you I've never spent 6 hours on a bedding fish.
I could say, Pete, I could say I didn't.
I have spent time. And, I will tell you this: the time on your watch moves faster when you can't get a spawning fish to bite than any other thing that you're involved in. It's like double time. You look at your watch, it's 9 o'clock. Then you look down again, it's 12 o'clock.
That's 6 hours I'm talking about. When I got to that, 5.5 hours or so, I was like, oh my God. Like, I mean, the day was, it blew by so fast. I threw everything I had at them, and, it wasn't intentionally to spend that kind of time on them, but, sometimes it happens.
Wow. That's awesome, man. That great question, Chet. And it's a great, it's the toughest decision in the world, to how long you stay. And I think that's key component is, do you need that fish?
Right.
Is it mandatory that you get it? And that'll, if you have a good bag and that's going to put you in the winner's circle, man, you got to give it the rest of the time. So I guess it's on a case by case basis, but great question. What else you got, Rich?
RT West on the message board would like to know, John, specifically, what's the biggest difference that you have experienced from fishing in Florida specifically to fishing the tour in the rest of the country? Like, how are the lakes different, and how do you have to adjust according?
I really think Florida is, Florida, we got a lot of fish. We got a lot of big fish. They are very, window orientated, where you have to catch that bite window. I feel like in Florida. You can fish over them in practice. You can, and never get a bite. And then you can go there the right time of the day during the next day of the tournament and catch a big bag of fish. And so Florida, I feel like Florida's tough, and I really can't. It's hard. It's easier to, I feel like, when you go out of Florida to kind of be like, okay, they're going to bite this afternoon, or they're going to bite first thing in the morning, or, as the water temp kind of changes. But Florida is just so all over the place. So for me, it's pretty much the hardest for me to pattern anything in Florida, I feel like, compared to when we go out of Florida.
The windows you talk about, the windows you talk about have always boggled my mind in Florida, because I can never figure out what the windows are. They change and move around. Do you have any way to decipher that?
So this is what I do at Florida. I haven't done, I've done okay. I haven't won any of the big ones in Florida. I've been kind of close in a couple, but I've bombed. Some of my worst finishes are in Florida. And what I've done, what I think, if I have an area where I know they're going to fire off there sometime during the day, I'm hitting that spot, 8 or 9 or 10 times a day, running back to it. I'm fishing stuff near that spot, even if it's not as good, to try to, scrape up a couple fish, but I keep trying that spot. And sometimes it fires off, and then, you catch 20 pounds, and then sometimes you don't catch anything. And you come, just like, the tour event we had on Toho, I guess it was last year. First day they fired off first thing in the morning. I caught some off beds, and then they fired off again late. Had a giant stringer, come in with a huge lead. Went out the next day and kept hitting those fish. Nothing ever happened. I weighed in 8 pounds, And then the final day, I hit that window again, perfect, and they fired up, and I caught like 26 or so. It's like I don't know how to, and I don't know if anybody has figured out the Florida thing. It blows my mind. It really does. And I've really learned it shiner fishing, doing a lot of guide trips, is running the shiners over the spots, or throwing them in the spots, and the shiners swimming, going crazy, and they just won't take them. They won't even take a live wild shiner. And then all of a sudden that window will happen, and, and they're smoking them one after another, wow. And they're down there, because I kept thinking, well, they're not down there, but when that shiner, the way he swims, he'll tell you if there's fish down there, and it's super weird that those fish they almost go dormant. Mm-hmm. And it's great. It's great. Not to keep going, but I got a tank on my back porch. It's got a little one we've been feeding in there, and that sucker, I swear, he takes naps on the bottom. Like, I go in there and I'm like, he's dead, and I tap the glass, and he wakes up, and it's almost like, maybe the Florida fish, as hot as it is and it's sunny, think when you go out and you mow your grass, and you get done mowing the grass, you're like dead tired. You're like, man, I'm going to take a nap, Yeah. It might be similar to that for them, and they take that nap, and that's when we're not catching them.
Yep. Well, I have to, Florida is different. It's a different kind of animal. And I noticed different lakes in Florida are different. Like, you got the Toho and the Okeechobee, which have similarities. You got the St. Johns River fish, which are for me, I can relate to them a lot better. Right. I catch them a lot better. And then you get up in North Florida, like Seminole, and you get into a little bit more predictable fish. But, I have to agree. And from Florida to the reservoir fish behave in a different schedule than the natural lakes and the tidal river fish. So you got to be able to adjust to all those conditions. And, it's definitely tricky. They all have their own mannerisms. Wouldn't you say, GDP?
Yeah, there's no doubt Florida's the toughest. Somebody told me a long time ago in Florida, and I don't have a lot of experience in Florida, but I got some. But somebody told me a long time ago in Florida, if you find a fish, just don't leave, because at some point they're going to bite, as far as, depending on how you're catching them. So kind of the same thing John just said, hit the spot a lot of different times over and over and over. I just won't leave. I'm just going to stay there and wait them out.
Yeah. Right. That's both good strategies. We use that on the tidal rivers a lot. You got to wait for that tidal river window to open up. So you leave and come back, And it seems like you got to do the same thing down in Florida. But that's a great question. Me personally, I don't think Florida bass bite at all. So stick to your F1s and your northern strains. Drive to those lakes.
Right.
What else you got, Riz? Andre on the message board would like to know, or he's always heard that if you can see a bass the bass can see you. How does that affect the ability to get that bass to bite? And also, is that true? If you can see a bass, can that bass also see you?
You want to take that, John?
Yeah, I mean it. Sure. They so I feed my fish in my backyard all the time, and it's amazing. I still think, like, especially like when you come up on a bedding fish, if it has that personality where it doesn't matter if it sees you, and it's still, it thinks it's the baddest fish out there, then it's not going to matter. But it's amazing how well they can see. Like the ones in my backyard, I can walk down there and I can, raise my hand up like I'm going to go and throw food, and they come to the surface. Like they can see me from, I'm a good 10, 15 feet away, and they can see my hand, and they have, they've gotten used to, like, see, when I raise my hand, they think something's coming in, and they kind of, they perk up, and so like, I think they can see us way better than a lot of us. I mean, than you can imagine. I mean, I think they see us more than we see them for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
What's your experiences, Greg?
Yeah, I mean, the same deal. There's a lot of times, especially with a spawning fish, there's been a lot of times where I've set up on a spawning fish and I just happen to look over and here comes a fish to my left or right that was coming back to where it was because I never even saw it. They're kind of actually like, because I can usually catch them too. But yeah, like John said, they definitely can see. I mean, dude, if they're in that dirty water and they're hunting and they're doing all that good stuff, they definitely got to be able to see and feel really well. And not even that, they can feel the boat coming too. I mean, there's a lot to it.
Mm-hmm.
I there's a couple situations, and one, Greg, you and I have this in common, is the upper Chesapeake. A lot of times in the summer, the grass is really up and the water is really clear, and you'll have visibility 6 feet, which is tremendous for that body of water, and there are during those periods of time,
they swim by, you wave at them.
Yeah.
Hey, man, what's up? Yeah. Oh, you're not going to bite? Cool. All right. See you later.
Yep. They flip the fin at you and keep going. And, when they see you, it's like it's done. It's not happening to get those fish to bite. So it's all about long cast. It's all about getting way out in front of the boat and on those certain situations. And there's other situations like you said, John. I mean, it just don't matter. I mean, you could be banging around in the boat, laughing, kicking, banging into the rocks. Oh, there's another one. And
those are the ones I look for.
Those are the fun ones. But speaking of that, and I know I was talking to BTC about what we were going to discuss with you and coming on, and we talked a lot about sight fishing. That's what you're really known for. But one of the things that you had mentioned to Brian was talking a little bit about how to catch fish when they're really biting on the beds. Because when it's tough, we get a lot of seminars on that, how to trick them, how to do
right.
Well, what's your strategy when they're covered up on the beds and you can really get after them?
So what I do is, especially like, when when it's the perfect storm, you got warming water temperatures, you have stable conditions coming, you have calm weather, like, we're gonna, the best week of the best, it's gonna be the best week of the spawn coming up. You have everything.
That's that at our house. That's tomorrow and the next day.
Right.
Right now.
So what I do is I take a let me see if I got them in here. I just take a regular. I have a couple different kinds, but I'll use like either a half or a 3/4. And what I'm just going to take a jig. I'm going to put it on 50-pound braid, and this is the one I really like here. I don't know, guys. It's a Cannonberry's jig you made for it's Dirty Jigs. I don't know what it's, some Cannonberry names on it, but it's like just a regular pitch and jig. It's kind of got it's got the straight tie there and stuff. And what I'm doing with it is I'll put a max cent meaty chunk on it. I'll put it on 50-pound braid, put it on a big flipping stick, and I'm putting the trolling motor on high. And what I'm doing is when I see a fish or a bed, I'm flipping over to it, and I'm taking this big jig, and I'm just trying to see what that fish does. I'm gonna see if he goes right for it, and and then I know, and then if I flip in there and he goes right for it, and then like you can catch this one, and that's like the main setup I'll go with to start with, and just try to get that reaction, because it's amazing how when that best week happens, how good they eat that jig. Like they just, I mean, it is amazing. Like you drop it in there. A lot of them, you'll drop it in there and they'll just run right down and get it. And then the only other modification I'll do to that is I'll take that chunk off. If they're kind of not picking it up, they're just grabbing the back end of it. And then I'll take like a beaver style. This is just it's a power bait bunker hog, and I'm gonna actually thread it right on the shank of the hook to give it some meat, and then that's just gonna give that jig a little bit fatter profile, and it's gonna allow them, when they go down and grab it, they're not gonna just grab the back of the trailer anymore. They're gonna try to get more of the whole meat, and that's about it. That's like the two things I do, and I mean I'm going all day, and I'm gonna find 5 big ones, and I think the key to the jig, I don't know if it's the same that you've noticed too, Pete, but you'll flip in there and the males won't really want to attack it as much. Like those females, they see that jig go in, I think it's just the bigger, bulkier profile than a Texas rig or a wacky rig or whatever, and it kind of keeps the smaller males off of it, and the females seem to really attack the jig before so you don't even have to worry about the male.
Yeah, that's a pretty good tactic. You only catch big fish.
Right.
Pretty sound strategy.
Right.
Putting the block on them. So are you talking about, do you do this in tournament scenarios, or are you like when you're just out looking for new beds, or is this?
Yeah, I mean, if I was fishing tomorrow, and tomorrow is going to be the best weather conditions, we got water temps getting in the mid 60s. We got nice calm weather. I would, in the tournament, I would abandon everything, and I would just go and start looking, and I'd start pitching that jig around and swimming it around in between those areas. But I'd mostly be looking for those brighter beds. I mean, even if you can't really see the fish on them, you'll see they'll kind of glow a little more, and I'll just take that jig and I'll pitch it in there, and I'll actually troll towards the bed and either see if the fish turns up on it, or try to get some kind of sign of what's there and what size is there.
Gotcha. Well, guys watching at home, you guys are watching it over on Facebook or any place other than our website. You want to get your question asked to John or the whole panel here, go on over to bashu.tv, subscribe. We got 50 days free going on, and we'll also have the Seeing Red promotion if you're signing up for an annual subscription. We got some cool baits from Rattle Trap coming your way. But so stop what you're doing, go over and sign up. Come on over and get your questions on the instant message board, which Rich is looking at right now. Riz, what do you got for us?
Clay B on the message board. My man Clay B has a question about electronics. And Greg, I want you to lead off the answer with this, because I know what John's answer will be. When you're bed fishing, do you turn when you're bed fishing, do you turn your electronics off to be a little bit more stealthy?
I don't personally. I don't do it in grass beds. I don't ever turn them off. I mean, every once in a while, you might see me do a standby, but that's only to reserve some power. Honestly, I don't turn them off. I'm not, I don't really know if it makes a difference. I mean, I guess if John Cox is one of the best bed fishermen, he don't have any electronics on his boat, so to speak. Maybe it does make a difference, but I don't turn them off now.
How about you, John?
So I start the day with it off, and I try to remember as much as I can. And then when I kind of start not being able to remember as much, then I turn it on, and I'm usually just using the chart. So I'm not really I'll actually unplug my transducer and just use the chart most of the time.
Have you seen where it makes a difference, John?
I don't know. I've actually think sometimes it's helped. The pinging actually, I think, irritated the fish. I mean, that's kind of what I noticed a lot. I started using the hydrowave this year, and what I noticed a lot with that hydrowave is that's what it is. It irritates them, it just gets them kind of, they don't want, they know something's not right around there. And so I think sometimes I think it might even help. I just, a lot of times if they're not particularly just locked on the bed, and I'm like, cause I'm fishing out of a John boat. So I'm like, I'm trying to normally sneak up on these fish and throw out in front of them, before they feel the boat or anything. And that's when that's usually when I keep it unplugged, and just use the chart.
So I'll tell you one thing that I learned myself, and John, maybe you can contest to this, but last year was really the first time I started doing this. And this kind of goes into that guy's question, Rich, with being stealthy. Last year was the first time that I push pulled to fish. And I was out fishing every single person that was not push pulling. Can you agree with that or not?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, that's the whole, like, what I do a lot, because I really suck at push pulling. I will troll up wide. I'll troll up fast, kind of fast. And then I'll just cut the trolling motor off, and I'll just let the boat drift into where I want it to get. And but it's the same thing, like you said. They know, they can hear everything. So it does. I think it makes a huge difference when you are push pulling around and being quiet.
I saw it too.
So you're talking about, you turn your chart on because you can't remember. You're talking about like waypoints where you have beds marked, kind of a thing.
Yeah, or just areas. So what I do in my practice, because I really, like, people don't believe me, but I usually really suck in practice and don't really find much. But I'm always taking notes on my Lowrance. I'm writing if the pocket I was in, if it sucked, if it had the right stuff, if there was no fish but it had the right stuff, or had fish but it had no points, or had no objects in the pocket to get a reaction bite from those fish. Or, I just like list everything, whatever I see normally visually, or I see on the side scan up shallow. And so I like everything I can run down the lake and I can just zoom in and I can just read what I got until I figure something out,
Gotcha.
And yeah, that's
because I've lost track of beds, man. It's like,
oh
man,
yeah,
I know it's over here somewhere.
Yeah,
is it in front of the bush, or is it
right?
Where is it?
Right. That's what I try to make a little bit of a note. Abbreviate it. Put the size of the fish. And then sometimes, like, something I started doing a couple years ago is I'll just take a picture, on my phone, take a picture of where that fish is, and and then draw on it so I can remember, and then when I can't sleep at night and it's 2 a.m, and I'm like, oh man, I got all these fish. I'm flipping through my phone trying to mentally remember where they are. So when I get there in the morning, I kind of know where to pitch to.
That's cool. Do either one of you guys do that, like a golf ball, like markings, or bend, mark the shore? Do you do anything like that?
Not with the stuff we have today in our boats. I don't.
Yeah, I used to throw water bottles out, and then I just realized it probably wasn't best for the environment.
Well, I've seen golf balls, and I noticed the guys used to always do that. They'd have like pink golf balls, and you'd be like, "Wow, there's another pink golf ball." And then you just look for golf balls. So you got to be careful.
I'm gonna do that next time, Pete. I'm gonna. That's a good idea. Yeah, when there's so many beds and you can't pick out what one the fish is on, let's throw one in there.
Yeah, you'll do it just to mess with me. You'll throw golf balls at all the fish.
That's what I thought I was gonna
say. Right.
I'll tell you one more little tip that I do is, as far as the graphs. Obviously, what John said, I note the fish too by size, and if they're behind something. Just to make it easier, if I'm running down the river, running down a lake, I do all the beds by color as far as the waypoints go. So if I'm running, it allows you to be a lot more efficient as far as not zooming in and be like, oh, what did that say? You can just do it by color. So if I have beds, like let's say I got red for beds, I can just know that that's a bed that's red. I can zoom in and see exactly what it is. So the color helps too a lot.
Yeah,
that's a pretty cool idea. That might help me out actually.
Yeah, it works really good.
We didn't have this show tonight, John, to help you in this.
I know.
Yeah, you don't need no help.
We need it to come our way. Yeah. We need the info. Let's hit some more IMs, because we're gonna have guys. If you're just tuning in, we've got John Cox, Greg DePalma, and the boys. We're talking about shallow water fishing, sight fishing. Bring your questions. We've got the keeper of the scrolls, the great Ken Duke, who is going to be with us here in just a little while. He's going to be asking some trivia questions. You can win some big prizes doing that. If we use your question on the air, we're gonna hook you up with some Bash U merch, and we've got a lot of that stuff. So that's what's going on right now. If you're watching us over somewhere else, go over to bashu.tv and get yourself signed up. Riz, what do you got?
I have a question from Tim, but before I get to Tim's question, I just need to mention Clay B. I'm still waiting on your customer number. Please send me your customer number. And guys, if you get your question answered on the show, just send me your customer number. It should be in the top right corner of your screen. That's how we're going to get you your awesome prize. So, Clay B, hit me with that number, dog. Tim would like to know, do you do map study of potential spawning areas before tournaments? If so, what do you look for in those areas?
Map study, John. Do you spend a lot of sleepless nights your map?
Oh yeah. That's in the quarantine and stuff. I was lost at night. I ended up finding myself watching Tiger King. Awful stuff on Netflix, so that is like a huge part of my life is I study the map. I try to remember as much as I can when I get out on the lake, and what I try to do, I try to find as much low water images as I can. I look at all of them. I even sometimes, if I can find an old school, like a drawn up map, that you look at and you're like, gosh, it is like as old as it gets, I like some of those. Sometimes they have stuff that were hot, long time ago. So I look at every map you possibly can. And I don't really necessarily find like the best spawning pockets, but at least I see parts of the lake where it might be a little bit shallower, might have a lot more sandbars, somewhere where if it's early in the spawn, I'm going to look for, that might warm up quicker because it looks like it's a shallower part of the lake. And then same thing as the spawn goes on, I'm going to try to find where there's less sandbars, where it's going to warm up. It's going to take longer to warm up, to kind of follow those fish around.
Yeah, for sure. Well, this is going to be an interesting thing because I want to see what Greg does with it, but I'm a map guy, and, that's all we had, back in the 1600s when I started.
There was bass back then?
Believe it or not, they were big. But we had paper charts. BTC knows, he was there.
Yeah.
But that's all we had. Now there's such great mapping that's available.
Sexton.
But I still like the maps. One of the reasons I like them is it puts everything in context. Like when you're zooming in and out of a screen, even a big screen on your sonar unit, you just can look at pieces of a lake system. But the map allows me to really look at everything in context. So, I still love to use maps, but there are paper map companies that are out of business. A lot of the because they're not being used much anymore. But one of the things that struck me too is you said low water images, and that's for people listening. That's you're referring to Google Earth type stuff where a lot of the aerials are done at different water levels on lakes. If you can look at the aerials when they were at winter pool, when the water's down, you can see so much more than one where it's up to full pool and low tide. Like I've seen some tidal water stuff that would have blowout tides, and man, you can see all kinds of crazy stuff. So that low water stuff is key. But we've got a millennial here with us. Are you a millennial, John? Are you past that?
What would that would be?
82 and up.
Yeah, I'm 85.
Yeah, I'm 82. Rich.
I'm 90.
9.
Ooh, no, man, baby.
Yeah. Talking about what you just said about looking at stuff on the low water. Humminbird has this awesome thing now called Mega 360. And I'm telling you, Greg's had it for a little bit longer than I have, but on a body of water that we all like to fish on the Chesapeake Bay, that Mega 360, boy, if you don't have it, I'm feeling sorry for you. It is the deal, dude. I mean, you can see what's out in front of your boat and hit it with your cast, it's incredible. Shameless sponsor plug. Sorry.
I'm actually going to do a sponsor plug here myself because so for me to answer the same question the guy just asked. So this is a very common question that I get asked a lot. When buying mapping for Hummingbird, do I buy just Lake Master or Lake Master Plus? The big thing with Lake Master Plus, why it's so good, and I actually did a video last year on the St. John's on this. So Lake Master Plus, basically what it gives you is where you can go into your graph and you can do a satellite image overlay, basically by pushing the button. And what that does is it gives you a satellite image, a Google Earth image of an overlay on your actual graph. So I use a lot myself too to kind of see the pockets, see what's in there, see if it's natural, see if it's industrial, all that good stuff. So that's kind of like, you know, what I do as far as research mapping wise is just through the overlay.
Excellent. There's so much available out there right
There
now.
is. It's endless.
Yeah, it's interesting because I know they're talking about the flats, what Riz was just bragging on, and it's just the mapping isn't that good out there. So having, you know, the sonar that can actually forward, you know, look out can
And
really help you.
there's an awesome piece about that you did, Pete, with Chris Zaldane. I think you interviewed him at iCast, maybe it was. When
That's right.
Mega was first coming out. So, guys, if you're interested in Hummingbird and some of the cool things that it can do, definitely check out that seminar. It's got a lot of good info in it.
Hey,
I see Brian waving.
I see it too. What do you got, BTC?
Rich, you really were born in 1990?
Yeah, man.
Jesus Christ. That's the year me and Ike all graduated high school.
I'm a 90s baby.
Oh, my God.
Come on, man.
You know what I was doing when you were born?
Making babies.
Yeah.
You could be his father.
Oh, my God.
Have you guys had a DNA test? We might want to check it out. That's funny. I graduated from Rutgers University in 1990.
Holy cow.
So I am the old guy until Ken Duke gets on the show.
Hey.
At least I hope. I don't know.
We actually got a question on the message board that says, Pete, how did you utilize a sundial to find your betting fit?
Well, you know, it took a lot of practice. It certainly was not near as responsive as today's units. But
Missed a lot of weigh-ins.
I could tell what direction I was going in, you know. Wow. But I can tell you this: when I was fishing for spawning fish, the sundial moved fast too. You know,
I bet.
Just like your watch.
Yeah.
Thank you for the loving question, whoever that was.
Guys, remember over on Facebook, like and share. We're giving away an awesome prize pack for that. So if you're still on Facebook, you're milling around over there and you're not going to come join up on Bass U TV, like and share the feed. You'll get a Storm Arashi glide bait and a Bass U TV official hat. And with no further ado, I got a couple more questions for you guys if you're ready.
Bring it. What do you got?
Joshua Lincoln on the message board would like to know, how do you find and catch bedfish when you're fishing in dirty water conditions?
Great question. John, when you can't see them, what's your plan?
Well, when I can't see them, I run the other way towards the dam. It's usually a little bit clearer. No, you know what I do when they're bedding in the dirtier water, I usually pick up either like a chatterbait or I pick up a jig. I do a lot of, I'll pitch it around, swimming around, and I'll try to locate those fish and normally, I'll just shake them off, especially, you can kind of see the targets they're going to be spawning on, whether it's like a isolated piece of wood or like a base of a tree or, a cypress tree or something that a bed should be on. That's how I bed fish the dirty water. I kind of more feel around, shake them off, and just save them for the tournament time and kind of go back to those same places.
How about you, Greg? You
kind of
deal with that?
Yeah, kind of the same thing. There's one place here in South Jersey in particular where the water you can't see, the Salem Canal, where you really can't see the fish. That time of year, I seem like I burn through, I'm going to say 2 to 3 more bags of trailers than average, is because a lot of the fish are just picking it up and, I'm setting the hook and ripping them off. But it's a good telltale sign saying they're spawning fish. because I can usually pitch back in there and fish a little bit slower and catch them.
Right. I actually do it when we're, fishing down Chesapeake. We fish through the spawn a lot. And one of the things down there is, rarely can you see them. You can sometimes, but it's got to be low tide. You got to have just the right condition. But what I get is in a spawning colony, and I noticed that bass will colonize. They'll spawn together in close proximity to one another. So when you get a bite, just like Greg said, you throw back in there, because if you got a bite and missed it, it's likely a fish blowing it off the nest. So you make repetitive casts in that exact spot, put your talons down and stay, and radial cast, fan cast in really close proximity to one another. And it's unbelievable. You can catch a bunch of fish and by doing that, just by stopping, because you're near a colony and you can catch a lot more fish. I do, Texas rigs. I'll use Carolina rigs sometimes, depending, if you can find something that they'll bite. But one of the other things I do, when you can't see them, is I fish for smallmouth a lot on the beds, and they're easy to catch if you can see them. But when it gets windy, because they're always out on the main lake and you can't see that good a lot of times. But, what I'll do is I try to identify, just like John said, the targets that they're spawning on. And it's usually boulders. It's usually like basketball sized boulders. But once you identify the type of habitat that they're spawning on, you don't need to see them. And you can just drift and fire at the targets that they're spawning on and catch a lot of fish that you never saw, and they're all spawning. So there are a couple little tricks that I've done to catch them when you can't see them. But great question. Appreciate you bringing that in. My question for you, John, because we're going through this right now with the Riz smashing up his prop shaft. How many prop shafts do you go through in a season?
I don't. I'll probably go rip the lower unit off next tournament, but I've been pretty good. I haven't really messed up too many with the aluminum boat, to be honest with you. It just I don't know. You don't hit as hard as you do in a fiberglass boat. But when I was running that Triton for a couple of years, man, I was going through like 2 or 3 lower units, and just having to I would just run it with the bent prop shaft, as long as it would last, and then
yeah.
I did mine pretty good, John. I can't even come close to getting on plane. It's
done then. Yeah. You got to get a new one in there.
Yeah.
I think John's not telling the truth. I think he might have a buyer.
Yeah, come on, Pete.
Yeah.
God, how trash is your boat, by the way?
Yeah, gosh, Pete. I'll have to say I was texting and driving the other day, which I should have never been doing.
Jesus.
And my kids yelled, and they're like, "Dad, tree!" And I looked up, and this limb, it was like as big as my arms around, was right at my face. I put my arm up, it hit me in the face, knocked my hat off, knocked my glasses off, went back, and it slammed my motor. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I just saw the dollar signs disappear from that thing. I was like, oh.
Dude, texting and driving is way worse in a boat than it is in a car.
Way worse.
Yeah.
Definitely don't do that.
Yeah. Especially if you decide a boat wake catches up on you. Tugboat wake when you're not looking. Whew.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that would hurt.
It'll send you sailing. Here's for another IM for the boys.
Sure. Boyd Duckett on the message board would like to know with the upcoming tournament on the Kissimmee chain, John, what would you do to catch the big girls?
Am I allowed to say that? I guess because it's public, right?
Yeah, you're allowed to talk. You're just not allowed to listen.
All right. So on those guys, they are super set up for going down there. I mean, there's the weekend tournaments have been taking 30, 35 pounds. I mean, it couldn't get any better. There's a bunch of weed machines out in the middle of the lake eating the hydrilla up. So there's smaller, you got all these fish in the entire lake, and they're all condensed to these smaller clumps of hydrilla. So it is going to be an awesome tournament to watch for sure.
Community.
If that's the real Boyd Duckett, what's up, Boyd? Good luck down there in the tournament. I wonder when the MLF is going to be back in business. I guess pretty soon, huh?
Yes, pretty soon.
Yeah.
I got a follow-up question for that comment. It just happens to be from a different person, and it has nothing to do with the last question. Blue Pro number 1 wants to know, if you miss a bedfish, what is your follow-up bait to get back in there and get that fish to bite?
I normally throw the same whatever I'm throwing at them to get them to bite. I always go right back in with the same thing, because sometimes it just takes that fish a couple times biting it, to take it better, So I'll go right back in whatever I was throwing. What
Same
about you,
here.
Greg? Yeah,
Same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I have heard tell of guys using different strategies, like using a big bait to get the fish fired up, and and then going in there with a little bait or something. Do you guys ever do stuff like that?
I used to do that a lot, actually. I just, for some reason, I don't do it as much. I mean, I used to like a big swim bait bite, just to get them riled up, or sometimes I'd even throw my top water over it and kind of just irritate them a little bit. But I don't know if I don't know if I haven't been in that situation, and that real, it seemed to do that more in real clear water, where the fish are really spooky and you're really having to get them irritated. I just really haven't fished in any of those conditions in a while, I guess.
Well, one of my buddies that would go the opposite. He would use the small baits to get them fired up, but he wouldn't want them to hit the small bait on the spinning rod because they'd be harder to land. So get them fired up and then drop all to the big flipping stick with a jig or some kind of creature bait, so that when he did get the bite, he'd land that fish. So there's a good idea.
Man, I'm learning all kinds of stuff on this. Keep them coming, Pete. Keep them coming.
I love it.
We'll do what we can. We'll do what we can. Is it true that, John, you can see better than anybody else in the field?
No. If that was proven, that I probably wouldn't get to fish them anymore.
Right.
Or I'd have to fish sitting down or something.
I swear, because sometimes I get into situations and I'm in a boat with guys and they're like, there's one. Like I was in the boat with Justin Kimmel. He's like, there's a school of perch. And I called him a liar. I'm like, there's no perch over there. Sometimes I feel like I'm losing it.
Hey, let me tell you, the last tournament I fished on Lake Martin, that's how I felt like. Oh, everybody's like, oh, man, they're on beds everywhere. And, man, I trolled them, and I never saw them. And I was like, I went and got my eyes checked right after that tournament.
I know exactly how you feel. And the guys at home, we just launched a 6-pack. We look like the Brady Bunch right now because we've added the great one. We call him the keeper of the scrolls, who knows everything that has ever happened in our sport. And we're psyched to have you with us here tonight, the great Ken Duke. Welcome to the show, Ken.
What spot? I'm loving the conversation. And yes, Pete, you're right. I'm older than you by 3 years.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, you got me by a bit. I'm really loving all of it. John is the master. And those of us who live in Florida, like me, we follow John. We listen to every word John says because he is the real deal. And, I love the conversation, especially about going for spawning fish. And I don't know I think it was one of the folks who were watching live who chimed in with a question about when you give up on a spawning fish. When is it time to give up? And it reminded me of an interview I did with Jason Christie a few years ago. Honestly, as good as y'all have been on that question, this was one of the best answers I've ever had doing interviews with hundreds of pro anglers through the years. I said, Jason, when do you know it's time to give up on a bedding fish? And he said, when it becomes personal. I thought, man, that's a good answer.
That is a very good answer.
and it can become personal,
personal real fast. But I love the answers, and to think that a guy of the caliber of John Cox was after a double-digit fish for 6 hours makes me feel good when I can't get one to bite in 1 or 2.
It's funny. I spend the most amount of time on those for some reason. The 2-pounders and the 1-pounders, I always have the hardest times with, because I just need a fish and hours go by.
It's addictive. It's just addictive. It's when you can see them, whether you can catch them or not, you're still entertained. You're still totally focused. It's a blast.
Yes.
Right.
And I can't get enough of that. Yeah. One of the things, this is all new to me, and being a part of Bass U Live is really exciting. I appreciate the opportunity, guys. One of the things that Pete and Brian and I talked about going in was maybe a trivia question. And in honor of John Cox, the Tin Man, I've got a really offbeat trivia question this time. It's not truly, I've got bass fishing questions too, but this one is not truly a bass fishing question. Since John is known as the Tin Man because he runs that aluminum boat, let's go to kind of the original Tin Man, Jack Haley in The Wizard of Oz, 1939. But Jack Haley was not going to be the Tin Man originally. He replaced an actor in that role. And I know that Riz has got a prize package waiting for whoever can tell us who Jack Haley replaced to be the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz.
It was definitely Pete Glusick.
Pete's always calling me the keeper of the scrolls, and Pete, the reason I know so much bass history is I'm old enough to have been there for a lot of it, unfortunately. But I love the sport.
We're not the same age. I mean, I was born in '67, so you were.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm 5 years older than you.
Okay,
my bad.
So still in '67 when this whole thing got kicked off, we were just I was just born. You were 5 years old.
I probably just caught my first bass about the time you were born, but I still, you guys are making me feel pretty old. Too many millennials.
You're making me feel good. Of all the shows I'm on, I'm always the oldest one.
You got to add Riz and Greg together to get my age, basically.
We have a winner.
What?
Come on,
oh man! Already.
Yeah, so
we have a winner, and that winner at 8:28 in 31 seconds is Dylan. Dylan on the message board with the correct answer of Buddy Ebsen.
Really good job there, Dylan. A lot of people don't know that Buddy Ebsen was originally going to play the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz. And he went through everything. He did the songs on the soundtrack. He did the whole 9 yards. He was good to go. But then they started their dress rehearsals, and he had an allergic reaction to the aluminum dust. It was part of the costume. And so he was out. Jack Haley was in. If you don't know Buddy Ebsen by name, you certainly know some of the stuff he's done. He was Jed Clampett in Beverly Hillbillies. Yeah. He was Barnaby Jones.
Oh, no kidding.
He had a long TV career.
Oh, wow.
So congratulations, Dylan. Good job.
My trivia question and follow-up to that, and this goes out to GDP and Riz.
Uh-oh.
Have you ever heard of the Tin Man or the Wizard of Oz?
Yes, I watched the Wizard of Oz, the original one.
I don't know if I've ever. I honestly don't think I've ever watched it.
I have,
but I've definitely heard of it. They actually did like a remake of the Wizard of Oz when I was in high school.
The Wiz,
and it was like a big thing.
The Riz Tour.
That wasn't my scene. But there was other scenes of high school that we're all going to see that remake of the Wizard of Oz. Yeah, you can fill in the rest for yourself. That's my closest memories of Oz.
The Wizard of Oz.
I love that question, Ken. It was a great one.
Oh, good one.
I was surprised. Did other people get it, Riz?
Yeah, there was a ton, and the first one was Dylan. And as I thought I was scrolling through and swiping comments over, I actually put the right one through to the board about 1 million times, but Dylan was in fact the first. So congratulations, Dylan, on getting the right answer. And yeah, that's an impressive job. But the message board, actually, a lot of people knew it. I was really, really impressed. And it was fast to the point where it was quick enough to know that people weren't Googling it.
Shit.
They just knew it. And then Professional Fish Head sent me a text right away and said, I can't believe I know this, but it's Buddy Epps.
Wow.
We're gonna have. I've got another question for the fish nerds out there, but Pete, I mean, I'm thrilled to be on Bass U. I've been a fan of Bass U for a long time, and what's a university education without a few history lessons, man? You got to have a little bit of history, and so I was thinking, let's tie it to the time we're in right now. Basically, second week of May. A lot has happened in the second week of May. And I got a couple for you that I think are big deals. I think we all agree they're big deals. On May 13th, 1949, it was a Friday the 13th. That is when the 0 Hour Bomb Company introduced the first spin casting reel. It was called the Standard. And I guarantee you that all 6 of us made our first casts with a spin casting reel. Probably like a Zebco 202 or a 33 or something like that. Right. Where would the sport be without the first spin cast reel? And if you think it was an inexpensive reel like they tend to be today, you'd be way off. That thing at the time in 1949, it retailed for $17.50, wow. Which if you adjust it for 2020 inflation, that reel cost $188.
Wow.
The equivalent. So it went for a mid to high range bait caster these days. And that was introduced in 49. On May 15th, 1955, I would argue you had the first real bass tournament. It was in Texas on Sam Rayburn. It was organized by an outdoor writer from Waco who put this thing together. He invited 150 anglers from around the state, guys he knew were hardcore, serious anglers. But of course, none of them had ever fished a tournament because there was no such thing. He invited 150 guys, 146 showed up. And they fished this tournament. It became ultimately the Texas State Bass Tournament. It still exists. They still fish that tournament to this day, and that's been going on for 65 years.
Good night.
My last kind of this week in bass history for you here is May 1959. A guy named Orville Ball in California. He was in charge of the San Diego lakes. He had been fishing with an outdoor writer named Rolla Williams and a baseball player named Ray Boone. And Boone, who had always gone to spring training in Florida, wondered why they didn't catch big fish in California. And so Orville Ball started to look into that and realized that the bass in Florida are a different species. So Orville Ball, out of his own pocket, imported 20,000 purebred Florida bass to California. He put them in Lower Lake Otay. When they grew up, he took some out of there and he planted them in other lakes, Miramar, San Vicente. It's the reason there are 15-pound plus bass in California to this day because of what happened in May 1959. So wow. May's been a bit, and that's just what happened this week in bass history. Next week, if you guys have me back, we'll have more. But those are some kind of earth-shattering things. The first spin cast reel, the first modern bass tournament, Florida bass in California, all this week in May.
And COVID-19 will be
COVID-19 is going to be
fake news.
Brian's like, let it go. But we're glad to have you here. And did you get my question for the battle?
I did absolutely get your question for the battle.
We wanted to invite Ken to be the honorary judge in a Bass University battle. And we're John, I don't know that you've ever taken a Bass University battle with us, but I'll give you a quick breakdown of the rules. Ken's going to provide us with a set of conditions, and you, me, and Greg are all going to weigh in on how they would approach those conditions to win that tournament. And Ken will pick the winner.
Okay.
Pete, you told me I would pick you. Is that not correct?
Well, no, but you do get a $5 bonus if you pick me.
Okay, well, I can be bought, but I got to say, I got to lean toward my fellow Floridian here.
We were worried about that. We were worried about that.
John's got kind of a home field advantage with the judge. But, all right, here's the scenario, guys. It is the springtime. Water temperatures creeping up into the 60s, 62, 63, 64. Got a full moon rolling in. So the bass are up. But here's the ugly part. You're fishing a tournament. It's the night before a tournament. You've seen bass all over on beds. You know they're up there. You know they're getting ready to lay their eggs. But now, of course, because there's a tournament, this wicked, nasty cold front has to roll through by law. And so it drops temperatures overnight. Let's say the overnight temperatures fall 30 degrees. How do you go out there and win the tournament?
Well, you're our guest, John. We're going to give you we're going to give you first crack at this. You get to go.
Okay. What I got a couple other. What is the watercolor that we're fishing? The clarity.
Sure. You've got a solid 3 feet of visibility.
Okay.
3 feet.
And
that's clear water.
Okay. I think. Oh, and is there any? What's the vegetation? Is there any mats? Is there any like what's the cover in there? Is there grass or?
I think, Pete, didn't you want this to be somewhere outside the state of Florida?
It's outside the state of Florida. That's all you're getting.
Okay.
Florida. Okay, so
and
John, there may be mats, but they're like sawdust mats or something like that.
Okay.
And I'm giving John a points deduction for asking too many questions today.
I'm just trying to get dialed.
I thought Ken was keeping score of the points.
Yeah. So I guess I'm gonna if I don't have any thick, heavy mats to flip, in those conditions, I'm throwing a 1/2 ounce War Pig, 100%. I'm gonna throw it all day. I'm gonna catch, try to get 5 bites on it.
So you're gonna abandon the bed fishing completely?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, drop 30 degrees. I'm back. I'm gonna throw up near the beds, but I'm gonna kind of pump that trap right off the bottom and work all out in front of it.
Now, John, that was the air temperature, of course, that dropped 30 degrees from
right. Oh, so water
to today's low is 30 degrees lower.
Right.
Okay, let me ask you a little bit. So you're going to be throwing in the area where you saw the beds, the slipless crankbait, the War Pig. That's correct?
Right.
Okay, and it's not going to be a rapid retrieve. It's going to be kind of a lift and drop.
And maybe even let it sit some and snatch it up off the bottom. I'm gonna slow it down a little bit.
All right, excellent. Who's next? Greg, you up next, or is Pete? Does the Dean get the advantage of going last?
I'm taking that advantage. I got two spawn fishermen in front of me, and I'm not one of those guys. So I want to see what Greg has to say.
So, all right, I'm gonna tackle this with no problem. So, I think it was
points to the confidence. I like that.
Well, no, because it has held true for me up until this point. This is why I'm saying this. So, I think it was and don't quote me on the date, but I think it was 2005. This is a true story. I went to a Bass University down in Florida in Orlando. You guys were around 2005, Pete? Is that when did you guys start?
We started in 2008.
Okay, so it must have been 2008.
Bass Master University.
Whatever it was, it must have been a Bass Master University in 2005. One of the speakers there was a Floridian. It was Shaw Grisby. And this is one of his topics that he spoke about was spawning fish. And one of the questions that came up was during cold front. And Shaw answered the question pretty good. Shaw said basically 2 things. And it's something that I've always done since then. So when you're in a bed fish scenario for tournaments, the one thing you're doing if you're locked in bed fishing is, what are you doing? You're marking as many beds as you possibly can. And by doing that, even when you have these kind of conditions, when you have, let's say you mark 150, 200 beds, which is a lot, but that's basically what you can mark in 3 days of practice. Let's say you mark that many beds. Somewhere on that lake, there's going to be a population of fish that are protected in the areas that aren't as affected by these scenarios with the weather coming through. So it's something I kind of always live by, and it's always held true. Even on the St. John's this year, where we had that blowout tide, we had some weird situations. There was still a lot of fish that were spawning that were males were still up. Just my timing was off to get on the areas to catch them, but they were still there. The only thing that Shaw said you really, really, truly have to worry about in these kind of tournaments is a heavy, heavy downpour for the most part, because it muddies the areas up and you can't see them. So I'm just going to stick to the bed fishing the entire day. and just run them by the most protected areas I can.
Okay.
Right. Dean Glusick, you're up.
Yeah, they're very, very good responses, both guys, and here's why they're wrong. First, we got to deduct points from GDP for bringing up some other.
You're not the judge.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute now. You can't. You're trying to influence the judge. I think that's
deduction.
I did take points away from Greg for not knowing that Bass University didn't start until 2008.
Fair enough.
Started the whole. But then he pulled out by mentioning Shaw. So
That's true. Shaw is one of the Bass University instructors, one of our longtime instructors. So we'll give you a few points back for that. But here's what I'm going to do in tournaments, and I've been in this situation a lot. Is I'm going to look for that. I'm assuming there may be a pre-spawn bite, not so much a post-spawn bite, but the pre-spawn bite's going to be available, and I'm going to be on that pre-spawn bite because that's what I'm going to be focusing my practice on. And when that cold front comes through, those 12 pounds that I was catching during the pre-spawn are going to turn into 17 to 20 pounds during the cold front. I'm going to catch them on a lipless, a jerk bait, and a chatter bait, depending on the type of habitat I'm dealing with. That's how the Dean's going to win the tournament.
Yeah, you got it. That was awesome. You got it. Definitely knocked that one out of the park.
And folks, just so you know, it's not because Pete promised me $5. I love what he did. He said, you know what? I'm not going to chase those fish I saw on the bed yesterday. I'm going to go perhaps for a different population of fish that were just getting ready to move up, that weren't quite ready to move there. And I'll tell you what sealed the deal for you, Pete. I don't know if you noticed this or not, but as soon as you got into your answer a little bit, John Cox started nodding. Like, yeah, I wish I said that.
Yeah.
So Pete Glusick, you're the winner.
Good job, Pete.
Good job, Pete.
Rigged.
It's way rigged.
I did write the question and have a little time to prepare. So,
Greg, what are you doing, man? You just, if I was the judge this time and I'm the judge again next time and you say rigged, you're starting off at this.
He never picks me anyway, so I'm good. It don't matter.
That was a lot of fun, guys. I tell you what, that was for the panel, Greg and Pete and John. But I do have one more trivia question before I bail out here, and that's for all the folks out there, the listeners, the members, and so forth.
Grand prize.
It's another
grand prize, guys.
There you go. Riz says it's the grand prize. So this is for the TH Marine prize pack. Okay, you're getting a TH Marine G-Force handle. You're getting the TH Marine G-Force cull system and a TH Marine troll jacket. All right, so we're hooking you up. There's still time. If you're on Facebook, get over to Bass TV. You can get this question right. Win the prize. Let's go. Very cool. I'm not sure I can live up to that billing, but here we go. Here's the question. It's another May question. On May 10th, 1989, the state of Texas, for the first time, established a state fish. What's the fish?
Ooh.
And since Riz and Brian know the answer to that question, I might, maybe they're going to bail me out here, but if not, I can hang around till the answer. But
I got to assume I'm going to play, but it can't be the black bass, right? That would be too obvious.
Well, you're going to have to be more specific than that, Pete.
Clown knife.
We actually need to get the answer from the guests here. So.
Rich, you don't have it?
Come on, I'm on a roll. I just won the other thing, man. I want to play.
Yeah.
He's like that guy. This guy. Tell me, Pete, at Rutgers, you were the guy who sat in the front, constantly like this, right?
Yeah.
I was in the back.
That's me.
I was in the back reading Bassmaster and stuff like that.
That's that. Well,
Ken, hit us with that question one more time. Repeat it so that everybody can hear once again, and we're going to need it to be specific. All right.
Got to be specific. It is one of the black bass species. Here's the question. On May 10th, 1989, the Texas legislature established a state fish for Texas. What is the species? It is one of the black bass species, so it's something bass. Tell us what it is.
I remember you asking.
We already have a winner.
Oh my goodness! I remember you had a question like this before, Ken. That how many states have a bass as their state fish, and it was less than their freshwater fish. It was less than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, Pete, I think it's like 6 or 7 right now, and and Texas, of course, is one. Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, Mississippi. It's more popular than any other kind of fish, but it is a little bit less than you think because a bass has been caught. Believe it or not, a bass has been caught in all 50 states. Because a couple of years ago, a bass was caught in Alaska, though they have no idea how it got there, and it was not in very good shape.
What?
Is
Probably
Mike,
wasn't moving.
Mike Iaconelli. He's constantly transplanting bass.
So we had a winner.
It was before you give the winner out. I want to guess. Do you guys know? Well, it's got to be what? A spotted bass, a coosa bass, a shoal bass.
I'm going with Guadalupe.
Guadalupe.
Bing, 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 bing.
Yeah.
John Cox came up just this much short in Bass Who Battle that he nailed it. It's the only bass that basically is only available in Texas.
Guadalupe bass. That's right.
Guadalupe.
I've seen a picture of those. Hey, great questions. The winner is getting who is it?
Chris D.
Chris D. Getting
Congratulations.
a pile of TH Marine products, just a pile of them, close to $100 or more value. Congratulations on that. And
great job, Chris.
Yeah, great job, Ken. Thank you for.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it, as always.
We really did too, and we'll keep you posted. And we're going to have more Bass U lives, man, for the next couple of months. So if you're able, we'd love to have you back and do some more of these with us.
Absolutely. And John Cox, talk slower. I'm taking a lot of notes over here. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Take care, guys.
See you guys.
Thanks, Ken.
Thanks, Ken. And guys, we're gonna be closing up shop. Brian, is there any last minute housekeeping items that we got to take care of?
Yeah, let me get Chris D's customer number.
Okay.
Before we shut down the operation here, and we got a Facebook like and share winner to announce. Actually,
excellent. Okay, well,
so
you go.
That gives people one more chance. Get over there, man. Like and share. Come on.
Like and share. We're going to be giving that one away. It's going to be a great Bass U swag pack. We're going to hook you guys up with. Brian, what else is on the agenda?
Well, we'll be live again next Thursday.
Yes.
And we will be live with Brian Thrift. I talked to him earlier tonight, and Brian Thrift's going to come on. I got to see if Greg's available to hang out with us, and maybe Ike, maybe not. Who the hell knows? But yeah, and we've got he's all the way over right there. And we've got a cash and rod to give away next week, I think. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So we've got a lot of, we'll be back with Thrifty. And this Sunday night, Ike Live will be back again. We've got the coolest chick in fishing, in all of fishing, Christine Fisher, kayak angler. She's a badass.
She's a killer.
She's awesome, dude. I've seen videos of her pulling treble hooks, like musky treble hooks out of her hand. She's just a badass, and she wins. She gets out there and wins events. So Christine's awesome. Christine Fisher and Robert Field will be our guests. Robert Field just recently was a part of the world record black marlin caught out of a kayak. His YouTube videos got, 2-3 million views right now. So pretty cool stuff, man. Cool people doing cool things. So that's who's going to be on Sunday night with Ike Live. Thrifty next week. And that's about it. Ike Foundation events coming up again, June 20th on the Flats. So Chesapeake.
We got a winner, Riz?
June 20th.
We have lost his audio.
June 20th on the Flats for the Ike Foundation tournament. Head over to the IkeFoundation.com, get signed up. And guys, just a little announcement in regards to that. Due to the current conditions and the climate, it is official. That's going to be a two-man per boat tournament. So, we're just trying to get that word out there, start planning accordingly. Whoever's not a good stick that was on your boat, you got to kick them out. See you later.
Call out the dead weight.
It's going to be a 2-man event because with 3 guys on the boat, it's going to be even tougher to minimize that contact. So just know that moving forward. And we have a winner, and our winner is, and I hope I say this right, Greg Jantovsky. Greg Jantovsky is the winner of the Facebook Like and Share.
All right.
And I see Greg's background picture on his Facebook is him holding up 2 big giant smallmouth. So congratulations, Greg. You're the Facebook Like and Share winner of tonight's show.
Outstanding. Congrats, Greg. And, next week we're with Brian Thrift. I just want to let you guys know we're talking topwater. I've been talking topwater on my Facebook Lives, and everybody's loving it. It's topwater season down at John Cox's house. Of course, it always is in Florida. And a lot of places in the country is post-spawn, and we're getting near the topwater time here. So it's a lot of fun. It's everybody's favorite way to fish. And Brian Thrift we're dropping a Brian Thrift advanced topwater seminar on Bass University TV this upcoming week. So we're going to celebrate with having Brian on the show. And so bring all your topwater talk, your topwater questions. Next Thursday night, we'll have another Bass U battle and some more trivia questions and have a blast. John, man, I appreciate you hanging out with us, and it's been awesome.
Yeah, thanks, Pete. Thanks for having me on. Thanks, guys. Hopefully I'll see you guys soon.
Man, I hope so. We'll be pulling for you. Stay safe. Keep the family safe. Keep fishing. Send us pics. We look forward to seeing your mount of your bass. I know that was a sad day.
R.I.P. Walt, man. R.I.P.
Yeah.
R.I.P. R.I.P. is right. Well, we'll be thinking about you. Thanks a lot for being with us tonight. GDP, thank you.
No problem.
I appreciate it. Wish you guys both great luck on your next derbies. We're going to be watching. Of course, we're always pulling for our guys. Riz, BTC, it's been an awesome show. I appreciate everything. BTC, did it all by yourself. Amazing work. Amazing work. Good job. And thank you, everybody, for watching. We're going to be back next Thursday night, 7 o'clock. Catch us on Ike Live at is that 7 or 8 o'clock on Sunday?
I think we're going at 8 o'clock, Pete.
8 o'clock on Sunday night. And I'll be talking to you guys then, too. Hope you guys are having good fishing. Be safe. Check out bassu.tv, and we'll catch up with you guys next week. Thanks a lot, everybody. Good night, guys.
See you, John.
See you guys.
Gerald Swindle, Bass U TV. I'm telling you right now, if you ain't watching it, you're like trying to put 3 pair of socks on 1 foot, man. You got to get part of it. You got to get on here and learn. If you got any doubt about flipping, pitching, we got it on Bass U TV. We got Bobby Lane. We got everybody you can imagine doing what they're the best at. You want to learn how to flip? Check out Hackney, huh? Don't get no slower than that. We got it all. BUTV offers A to Z bass fishing from beginner to the highest level. We have it on BUTV. Check it out online. Enjoy the laughs, but really enjoy the outdoors and fish. That's all we're asking. We want you to fish, and we want you to watch BUTV.